Hello and welcome to a Patreon Q&A video. Most of you that are watching this probably aren't patrons. I've actually done a bunch of these videos in the past for my patrons exclusively, but coming into the new year, I've decided to make them public, but the questions will still only be from my patrons. So everyone can see them, but only patrons can ask. And if you want to ask, it's only $1 a month. It's a little incentive for you, I suppose. So without further ado, here's a random set of questions. Plague, how do you choose what games to cover and how much time goes into a typical video? A typical video usually takes 1 to 1.5 weeks to make of like pretty decent work. I take a while to write scripts, probably longer than a lot of YouTubers normally would. I don't know why. I think I'm just very particular and I really don't like actually recording scripts. I know I often sound really natural, but there's a certain amount of effort that goes into sound natural, and there's a certain amount of cut takes that don't sound natural that I delete. I am slowly getting better at it, but I just really hate recording for some reason, and I often put it off a little bit. But usually like a week and a half to make a video, including playing it all the way up to releasing it. And how do I choose what games to cover? It's like a constant sine wave that fluctuates with my mood of games that I think my audience wants to see and games that I simply want to cover myself or find easy to cover. So I guess I take a lot of cues from my comments section. I often don't have to think much about it because I just have so many suggestions that just picking one at random often will be something that people want to see. But I've always been someone who has enjoyed like strange, odd, weird games, and that's really worked in my favor since that's what my channel's about. I think it's just there's no real process that goes into choosing it. It often makes clear sense to me what video I feel like I should make next. So Dominic Chikoki asks, how are you feeling, Peter? How are your holidays? Thank you for the question. I'm feeling pretty well. The end of last year saw a lot slower output on my channel because I was just so busy with all sorts of different things. And I guess since January, since this month started, I've sort of freed up a lot of time in my schedule and sort of dropped a lot of responsibilities or finished off a lot of real life activities and projects that I needed to be able to focus on my channel more, which is why you're seeing I guess a quicker output of videos. Like today I'm going to be working on my Terminator Resistance video, which should mean 3 videos in 3 weeks, which I haven't done in ages. My holidays were good. I went and saw my family for a little while there, had Christmas with them. Yeah, pretty typical, quite relaxing, definitely needed it. So thank you. Chef asks, when the hell is Sims 2 DS coming out? Been waiting 3 years, shaking my head. Sims 2 DS, the reason I've put it off so much is because Sims GBA was such a pain to make for me. Like, putting like 20 hours into each of those games, or more, or a bit less, was just a pain. They're such a grind, and I didn't want to go through that again immediately after finishing the video, and I ended up just with real life getting busy and all that, I ended up just putting it off for a while. So forgive me, but it is actually going to come out. It's not a meme. I'll get working on it soon. Tio asks, guilty pleasure games? Dominic then follows up with guilty gear games. Smoothie says D's nuts games, and Nikolai says bashing butts games. Haven't played any guilty gear games. Guilty pleasure games, I mean, like, I suppose Driver 3 would be the one, right? There's plenty of games that get bad reviews that I really enjoy, Terminator Resistance included as of recently, but like games like Kane & Lynch and Kane & Lynch 2, I really like. I really like AFL games, which are Australian rules football games, which are like exclusively released in Australia based on our national sport, and they are quite poorly regarded, but I still really love them, probably because of my love for the sport itself. Antonio Phillips asks, any interest in hiring team members / commissioning people to help boost the output of your channel, example an editor, or do you prefer being a one-man band? Obviously, I can't afford to do that, but if I could, yeah, I think I would. I want the whole creative process to be on my side, but stuff like editing, though I do enjoy it, is very time consuming, and I think it would alleviate some of the pressure if I had someone doing it. I guess stuff like branding, and not that I do a lot of branding, or my brand is almost kind of minimalist, so it doesn't really matter heaps. But if I was able to do like stuff like merch, I'd definitely get someone in for that. I guess it's such a, I'm so poor, or this doesn't bring in enough money for me to even think about this being an option, but I have no hesitations for hiring people besides that. So it'd probably be helpful, but the channel is all about me. I'm never gonna turn it into like a Linus Tech Tips of channels, whereas there's like a million different people. Smoothie asks, do you even lift? Serious question, no meme. I do go to the gym. You probably can't tell. I'm very skinny. No, I do lift weights. It's such an on and off thing for me. I only weigh like 75 kilos, which isn't a lot, but I started the gym a few years ago, and when I started I was 58 kilos or something, 55 kilos, which for my height is like actually in the like anorexic tier of weights. So I feel like I've come a long way, but for people my height, I'm still pretty skinny. So yeah, I do lift, I do try and stay fit. But I don't take it so seriously. I don't really diet in a way that I gain weight or gain muscle or whatever. So yes, Nikolai Mende. Hey Peter, here's a bunch of questions for me. It's a long one. What's your take on Driver San Francisco? If you liked it, what did you like about it? I loved it. It's one of my games of the past decade for sure. But I can't help but feel disappointed at what it did with the series. Because you think about the series, like it started as this like wonderful love letter to The Driver and Bullet and Hollywood movies, and it basically turned into a Michael Mann film by the time he got to 3, and then Parallel Lines kind of combined the two styles with the 70s old films and the 2000s more Michael Mann style, and that sort of commitment to the seriousness in the first 4 games I really, really enjoy, almost as like a thriller. And that was completely wiped in favor of cheesy cheeseball comedy in San Francisco. But I thought mechanically it's really, really inventive, it's really, really unique, and I'm glad it exists. But if I had my way, it wouldn't be a driver game, it would be like exactly the same thing, but just without Tanner and Jericho and that other guy. Can't remember his name. It would just be its own thing that's pretty similar to Driver and still has all that like movie stuff in it, but tonally it's just so different that I'm disappointed in it as a game in the series, but I love it as a game. What was the most annoying feature / aspect of Driver 3 for you? And then below he says, a little bit of context for these questions from my side for a better understanding. Regarding question number 2, I first played Driver 3 as a kid back in 2005 on PC, and I remember it was a nightmare to get through the very first mission when Tanner has to get to Bacchus's hotel because of the driving physics and very punishing fail condition. If you fail, some seemingly 20 to 30 meters behind the police cars that you have to follow, if you fall, the mission fails. Because of that, I replayed this section a number of times as a kid and it was utterly frustrating. I remember my frustration to this day. Also, when I played Driver 3 last year, I noticed that the overall art direction is very poor. The interior design, just look at the police station in the same mission, looks nothing like the real one would, and the cutscenes, direction and overall story and dialogue writing is lacking consistency and coherence. To be honest, I'm really curious about why you're drawn to this game. Alright, there's a lot to unpack there. The art style, I'll start with the art style. Interiors look just fucking awful and are clearly unfinished, and the game is clearly unfinished as a whole. But I wouldn't say the art style is poor. I would say that for a 2004 console game, Driver 3 is exceptional. Like, you compare it to GTA San Andreas the same year, right? And graphically, Driver 3, beyond the glitches, is so much further ahead with the car reflections and the draw distance, and just it's quite it's quite an impressive game visually for the time, especially with like the car damage models and all that sort of thing. But its pitfalls are the interiors and certain areas of the game and the glitches, and there's a hole in the map and that sort of thing. So I see where you're coming from, but I guess I loved it because of that sort of, I really like films like Heat and Collateral by Michael Mann, and it has that similar vibe. And Miami Vice, the 2006 one, which came out afterwards, but there's a certain energy that it just captures really, really well. It's got a very unique thriller tone. I'm not looking at the camera as much as I should be. I'm not much of an on-camera person, I'm sure you can tell. As far as like the frustrations of it, I find that, at least with the driving, it's a very pure, skill-based, expects you to be perfect at driving sort of game, which for the game's mechanics and for the game's physics, like the previous two driver games, I just really, really enjoy. And I know that sometimes you'll hit a gutter and spin out, but that's just kind of funny to me. And couple that sort of addictive, very difficult driving thing with the wonderful style, and it comes together to be something that feels made for me. But as far as the most frustrating feature aspect of Driver 3, clearly the gunplay is just terrible. It feels horrible. The AI basically don't exist. So, love-hate relationship. When was the first time you completed Driver 1? Was it on PC or PlayStation or other platform? What were your feelings when you finished the final mission? I actually don't remember finishing it as a kid. I remember getting to the final city. I remember even getting to the final city on iOS. I certainly played it a lot, but I have no memories of beating that final mission. I don't think I did. I think the first time I beat it was for the review. So I guess my feeling was, yay, I finally get to review it. And I know it might seem disingenuous that I have so much love for the game, despite never having finished it before, but a lot of my time was spent just in free ride and just mucking around, like it was for a lot of people. So yeah. In your Driver video, you said that you had played it on PlayStation with your cousins. Have you played Driver together or with them or anyone else after that? I probably have. Certainly Driver 3 I played a lot with some friends because they have a similar love for it. But no, I don't know if I played the first Driver with that many people. But yeah. So, regarding question 4, in my memories, Driver is inseparably connected with my older brother, as he was the one that showed me this game, and I hold the moments when we played it together very dearly, as they were few, and as I never really played Driver again with someone else, mostly because the game was very niche and none of my friends were keen. Yeah, it's not a game that you really show your friends, I think, unless it's 1999 and you want to impress them with a PlayStation game. But yeah, Nikolai, thank you so much for the question. As usual, I actually really enjoy the longer questions, so don't feel bad about asking them. Next question, rule in for kids. If a tree falls down in a forest and no one is around to hear it, will it gain cult status after appearing in some indie movie that suspiciously seems to have a lot of its plot points aligned with the movie Garden State? I haven't seen Garden State. Zach Braff to me is just the guy from Scrubs. I'm not sure if I've really seen him in anything else. I don't know how to answer that, man. I'm not funny enough. Can you take more pics of your toes? Asking for a friend. I keep saying 1 billion subs. That's when I'll do it. Minimme once told me the world is gonna roll me. Can I have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large, a number 6 with extra dip, a number 7, 2 number 45s, 1 with cheese, and a large soda? Yes, you can. A 45, isn't a 45? Oh no, that's a 40. That's what Americans call like a bottle of alcohol. Anyway, thank you for the questions. Hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, you can ask these questions and I make sure to answer everything, even if my answers are poor because they're joke questions and I'm just no good at this. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's like I just woke up, which you might be able to tell from the bed hair. I need a fucking haircut. But yeah, hope you enjoyed and I'll see you in my next video.